Hi, welcome to Root Access, the show on Google Developers Live about startups. My name is Martin Omander, and I'm joined here by Don Dodge, longtime investor and startup advocate. Welcome,
Thanks for
Don.
having me back.
All right. So, lots of good viewer questions. We'll go into one specific question this episode about pricing. Macovei Vlad, I'm sorry if I butchered your name, asks, what should be the factors determining the initial price of an app? And if a correction is needed, what should be the transition strategy to a lower or a higher price point without upsetting current or future potential customers?
Good question. There's actually two questions there. So the first one is, how do you determine the initial price point? Look at the competition, and if you're competing against an entrenched competitor, then you want to price under them. So say 10 to 20% under the entrenched competitor. If there aren't entrenched competitors, then there are alternatives. Like, there might not be a product or a service that is exactly like yours, but there's always an alternative. If there's a need there, they've figured out some way to solve the problem. Maybe it's not as elegant as your solution or as efficient as your solution, but there are ways to do it. So you have to look at how are users solving the problem today and how much are they paying to do that. And if they switch to your product or service, how much additional productivity or gains are they getting so that they'll perhaps pay more than the existing solution. So that's two ways to look at how to price your product, either against the competition and come in a little lower, or against the alternatives that may be inferior and price a little higher.
Okay. So then you get your initial price, and pretty soon you'll discover that you weren't spot on. You will need to change it. What are the strategies for going up or going down?
Good question. My experience is it's easier to go up in price than it is to go down in price.
Oh, really? I thought it would be the opposite. Everybody likes something cheaper.
Except the customers who already paid for it.
Oh.
So if you take your product out at a price, say $100, and customers pay $100 and you start getting customers, but you're not getting enough, and then you lower it to $75, well, now you've alienated all of those customers who paid $100. They're going to be angry. You've disrupted the sort of value proposition that you had going in. So now where are you versus the competition? And so you need to think very carefully before lowering the price. It's easier to come into the market at a low price and then raise the price higher and higher. The reason for that is that typically when you raise the price, you're giving additional features. So you're making the product better, you're making it scale better, you're making it faster, you're having additional features. There's more value there, so customers are willing to pay more money. So in my experience, it's always easier to go up in price than it is to go down.
Interesting. About that freemium, there's a lot of talk about freemium. Is that the way to go, to have a free tier and a premium tier?
Yeah, that's a great way to go, because the idea behind freemium is that if it's free, you'll get a big user base and lots of network effects and feedback from users that are free, and that's okay. And then you have a premium set. That's where the emium and freemium comes from, the premium set of features that they'll be willing to pay for. So that's a great way to go. And then that allows you to have the free or low price option and the higher priced premium option. You can also do that with no freemium model. You can just have a base product that's $100 and a advanced product that's $150 and a pro product that's $300. So there are lots of ways to do packaging and pricing, and you don't need to be tied down to any particular model.
And you shouldn't be too afraid to get it wrong, because you can change it
Right.
later.
Exactly.
Great. Macovei also brings up a great question. What about ads? That would be great. Then I don't have to charge any of my users.
Oh, so an ad-supported model.
Ad-supported model, yeah.
Yeah, ad-supported model was very, very popular about 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Lots of web kinds of content companies where viewing the content was free and it was ad-supported, or...
I started one of those. That crashed and burned.
Well, it's a very good model. Google itself is ad-supported. So Google is an ad-supported model. But ad-supported sort of assumes that you have a huge audience. Lots and lots of page views, lots and lots of users. Because when you do the math on how many page views you need to make $1 million in revenue through ads, it's billions of page views. I mean, it's significant. So you have to have a pretty significant audience to make ad-supported alone work well. Remnant ads, and typically, remnant ads or run-of-the-house ads that aren't that targeted, those are the kinds that sell for 10-cent CPMs, or CPM means cost per thousand, or very low kinds of prices. No one's going to make a lot of money doing that. Conversely, if you're using Google AdWords or AdSense, those are very targeted ads. So you don't need billions of page views. You just need a very targeted audience and an advertiser who's willing to pay a very significant cost per thousand or a cost per click rate because you have a targeted audience. So those are the two ways to look at ad-supported. It's if you have a very targeted audience where you can use Google AdWords and command pretty high cost per click rates, that can work very, very well. If it's a CPM kind of run-of-the-house remnant inventory, you better have billions of page views to make that work.
Billions. That's a big number.
It is. But there are lots of websites out there that do have that kind of traffic and can make that work, and that aren't solely ad-supported. Like ad-supported is one of the revenue streams, and it can be significant. So you need to look at your product, your users, your audience to see whether ad-supported will work as the sole revenue source or as one component of it.
So when I see ads all over the internet, a lot of that is just people generating incremental revenue on top of what they do otherwise?
Yeah, typically it's a nice way to have an incremental revenue source, but it's not what their whole business is predicated on. So it's a nice little revenue stream, but probably not going to make you rich.
Oh, great. Thanks, Don.
Thank you.
Macovei, I hope that answered your question. If anyone else, if you have questions, please add them in our YouTube comments. We love questions and we'll pick them up in future episodes. Also, if you're a cloud developer and you want to run your stuff on Google's infrastructure, there is an offer now. If you're root access viewers, check the information on the screen. You can sign up and get $2,000 worth of free use of the Google Cloud platform to get you started. And that's it for today. See you next time.